If you're doing keto and you're constantly sipping water but still feel off, it might not be dehydration. It can be the opposite, too much water relative to sodium. On keto, your kidneys tend to release more sodium, especially early on. So when you drink more to be safe, you can dilute what's left. The result can feel like fatigue, brain fog, dizziness, or even anxiety-like sensations. And it's confusing because the symptoms overlap with keto flu, stress, or not eating enough. The key idea is balance. Water is essential, but water without electrolytes can backfire. In this breakdown, you'll learn the most common warning signs that your water intake is outpacing your sodium. You'll also learn simple ways people typically rebalance fluids on keto without guessing. If you've been chasing energy with more water and it's not working, this will help you make sense of it. Moving to slide 2. To understand the warning signs, you need the basic mechanism. When carbs drop, insulin tends to drop too. One effect is that your kidneys hold on to less sodium. That's why many people lose water weight quickly at the start of keto. Sodium pulls water with it, so you can end up peeing out both. Now add the common advice to drink a ton of water. If sodium intake doesn't rise to match, your blood volume can feel a bit low. That can show up as lightheadedness when you stand, a racing heart, or feeling wiped out for no clear reason. This isn't about fearing water. It's about recognizing that on keto, water needs a partner, sodium, plus other electrolytes like potassium and magnesium. Once you see the pattern, the symptoms stop feeling random. Moving to slide 3, one of the clearest warning signs is dizziness, especially when you go from sitting to standing. That head rush can happen when blood volume is a bit low. On keto, sodium loss can reduce the amount of fluid your body keeps in circulation. If you're also drinking lots of plain water, you can dilute sodium further. Some people describe it as feeling wobbly, floaty, or like they might faint. It can also show up during workouts, hot showers, or after a long walk. The tricky part is that you might respond by drinking even more water, which can keep the cycle going. A more useful question is, did this start when carbs dropped, and did it worsen when you increased water? If yes, sodium balance becomes a prime suspect. This is one of those symptoms where small adjustments often make a noticeable difference within hours, not weeks. Moving to slide 4. Another common sign is a headache that feels dull, pressure-like, or just persistent. People often assume it's dehydration, so they keep refilling the bottle. But if sodium is low, extra water may not help, and sometimes it makes the headache feel worse. Sodium helps maintain fluid balance in and around cells. When sodium is out of range, your body can send very loud signals. Headache is one of them. You might notice the headache comes with low energy, nausea, or sensitivity to light. Or it shows up in the afternoon after you've been hydrating all morning. This is also where caffeine can complicate things, because it can increase fluid loss for some people and mask fatigue. The practical takeaway is to treat headaches on keto as an electrolyte question, not just a water question, especially if you're already peeing clear all day. Moving to slide 5. If you feel weak, shaky, or like your muscles have no power, low sodium can be part of the picture. Sodium isn't just about water retention. It's essential for nerve signaling and muscle contraction. When levels are low, you can feel heavy, slow, and strangely fragile during normal tasks. Some people notice their grip feels weaker, or their legs feel unsteady on stairs. This can also show up as exercise intolerance. Your usual workout suddenly feels impossible. And again, the mistake is thinking I must be dehydrated and adding more plain water. If your diet is very clean and unprocessed, sodium intake can be lower than you realize. Keto plus whole foods is great, but it often requires intentional salting. The clue is weakness that doesn't match your calories or sleep, especially if it improves when electrolytes are added back. Moving to slide 6. A fast heartbeat, pounding pulse, or feeling wired but tired can happen when your body is trying to compensate for low circulating volume. If sodium drops and you're losing fluid, your heart may beat faster to keep blood pressure steady. This can feel like anxiety, even if your mind is calm. You might notice it most when you stand up, climb stairs, or lie down at night. It's also common alongside cold hands and feet, because circulation can feel a bit off. The important point is not to jump to conclusions. Many things can cause palpitations, but if this started after going low carb, and you're also drinking a lot of water, sodium is worth considering. People often report that a salty broth or electrolyte drink changes the sensation quickly. That timing is a useful clue that the issue is fluid electrolyte balance, not just stress. Moving to slide 7. Let's talk about nausea, low appetite, or that unsettled stomach feeling. When electrolytes are off, digestion can feel off too. Some people get a mild queasiness that comes and goes. Others feel like food suddenly sounds unappealing, even though they know they should eat. If you're drinking lots of water to flush things out, you can make that washed-out feeling stronger. Sodium helps regulate fluid distribution, and your gut is sensitive to shifts in fluid and minerals. Another clue is nausea paired with fatigue and headache, especially early in keto. That trio often points to electrolyte imbalance more than food intolerance. This is also where potassium and magnesium can matter, but sodium is usually the first lever because it changes quickly. The goal isn't to force salt, it's to notice patterns, nausea that tracks with high water intake and improves when electrolytes are restored. Moving to slide 8. Here's a surprisingly useful sign. You're peeing a lot and it's very clear, yet you feel thirsty or tired anyway. Clear urine can happen with good hydration, but it can also mean you're pushing fluids faster than your body can use them. When sodium is low, your body may struggle to hold on to water in the right compartments. So you drink, you pee, and you still don't feel stable. Some people also notice they wake up at night to urinate more often. That can disrupt sleep and make everything feel worse. On keto, frequent urination is common early on, but it shouldn't feel endless. If your water intake is high and your salt intake is low, the pattern can persist. The takeaway is to stop using urine clarity as your only metric. Hydration is not just water in, it's water retained and used appropriately. Moving to slide 9. Muscle cramps and twitching get blamed on magnesium, and magnesium can matter, but low sodium can set the stage too, especially when you're sweating or drinking a lot of plain water. Cramps in calves, feet, or hands can show up at night, during exercise, or after a hot day. Sodium helps muscles contract and relax normally. When sodium is low, your nervous system can become more irritable, and cramps can appear more easily. Potassium also plays a role, so this isn't a one-mineral story. But if cramps started after keto and you also increased water intake, it's reasonable to suspect dilution and losses. Many people do better when they think in terms of electrolyte coverage instead of chasing one supplement. The practical point is to connect cramps to context, sweat, water, low carb, and not assume it's random. Moving to slide 10. Brain fog is one of the most frustrating symptoms because it's hard to measure. You might feel slow, unfocused, or like your thoughts are stuck in mud. On keto, some brain changes are part of adaptation, but electrolytes can make the difference between adjusting and struggling. Sodium supports nerve impulses and helps maintain stable circulation to the brain. If you're overdoing water and underdoing sodium, you can feel mentally dull even if your ketones are fine. Some people also notice irritability or low mood, which can be a downstream effect of feeling physically off. The key is to look for the combo: brain fog plus dizziness, plus frequent urination, plus lots of plain water. That cluster points more toward sodium and fluid balance than toward you're doing keto wrong. When the basics are corrected, mental clarity often improves quickly. Moving to slide 11. Now let's separate normal thirst from electrolyte thirst. Normal thirst often improves after you drink. Electrolyte thirst can feel like you can't quite quench it, even with plenty of water. Your mouth may feel dry, but your stomach may feel sloshy. You might also crave salty foods, pickles, olives, or broth. That craving isn't weakness. It can be your body asking for sodium to help hold fluid where it belongs. Another clue is that thirst shows up alongside clear urine and low energy. If you're sweating, fasting, or drinking coffee, the demand for electrolytes can rise further. This is where many people do better with a planned electrolyte routine rather than reactive chugging. The core idea is simple. If thirst doesn't respond to water, consider that you may be missing minerals. Moving to slide 12. So what do you do practically if you suspect you're overdoing water on keto? First, stop treating hydration like a challenge to win. Many people do better drinking to thirst, not to a huge fixed number. Second, Build sodium into your day intentionally. That can mean salting meals more, using broth, or choosing an electrolyte mix that actually contains sodium in meaningful amounts. Third, consider context. If you're sweating, exercising, or in a hot environment, your sodium needs often rise. Fourth, don't forget potassium and magnesium. Sodium is usually the fastest lever, but the trio works together. And finally, make changes gradually and observe. The goal is steadier energy, fewer headaches, and fewer dizzy moments, not chasing extremes. If symptoms are intense, persistent, or confusing, it's smart to get medical guidance, because not every symptom is from electrolytes. Moving to slide 13, let's cover a few common mistakes that keep people stuck. One is choosing electrolyte drinks that are basically flavored water with tiny minerals. If sodium is the main issue, a sprinkle won't move the needle. Another is being afraid of salt while also doing keto. If you have no medical reason to restrict sodium, keto often requires more, not less. A third mistake is relying on massive water intake to fix fatigue. If fatigue is from low sodium, more water can intensify it. Another trap is ignoring food sources. Salted meals, olives, pickles, and broth can be simple tools. And finally, watch the timing. If you slam a lot of water at once, you may feel worse quickly. Spacing fluids and pairing them with electrolytes tends to feel more stable. The goal is to make your routine boring, in a good way, so symptoms don't keep surprising you. Moving to slide 14. To wrap this up, think of keto hydration as a three-part system: water, sodium, and the supporting electrolytes. If you're dizzy when you stand, getting stubborn headaches, peeing clear all day, or feeling weak and foggy, it's worth asking whether you're overdoing plain water. The fix is usually not dramatic. It's often a calmer approach. Drink to thirst, salt food appropriately, and use electrolytes strategically when you sweat or fast. Now I'm curious about your experience. Comment with A or B. A, you tend to drink a lot of water on keto. Or B, you tend to forget to drink. And if you want more scripts like this that focus on practical keto problem solving, subscribe. This information is not a substitute for medical advice. Stabilize glucose. Unlock real energy.